What's good, people? What's good, people? Big Rich here from the Big Rich Live on the Mic Radio Show, and welcome to this week's episode of What's the Real Deal. This is a little bit different today. You know, not only are we not going to talk about negative stuff, but the good thing is that now we're going to try B-roll. So we're going to, why is it? Oh. Okay, well, we're going to figure it out. We're going to see how it works, actually. You know, we're going to try to do B-roll and try to look up in it and try to see if this works. I don't know how it's going to work. You might say, well, Rich, why are you trying B-roll for an in-studio type show? Well, remember, we're trying to launch the the African American news show on Thursdays, and for that show, a lot of times I'll have an in-studio guest. So they would actually sit here on my left, and then I would move a little bit further, and then I would actually use this setup right here. You see what I'm saying? So you would need to have a B-roll where you go back and forth. So we're just gonna play with that, see how it goes and stuff like that. It's kind of weird, you know, me looking over this way, then looking over this way, then looking down to make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do. But I mean, hey, we're going to have a good show and try to chop it up and try to go back and forth and see, you know, obviously I got to do all of that in post. But we're going to try to make it do what it do and have some fun. So we're going to see how that goes. So sit back and we'll see. One thing what might happen is, okay, let's break this down because it's just a different show. This one here, my main camera here is the brand new Panasonic Lumix GH5, which I love. And then this one right here is the Lumix G7, which was the first Panasonic camera that I changed from when I went from Sony. Remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I went on Big Rich Live, and then I explained why I changed from Canon to Panasonic. So this is like the first time I'm using it. But what I'm noticing is that I have a collar, because I only have two Panasonic or Olympics lenses. You know, that's all I have is glass right now. So the kit lens that came with the G7, I'm now using on the GH5 because GH5 didn't come with any glass at all. So I had ordered a 40, this was actually Olympic 40 to 130 lens for the Lumix. But when I put it on, obviously, because we're in such close corridors, if you will, it's like right here on my face. So that didn't work. So then I thought about it. I was like, well, I have a collar that I can use a Canon. I can use Canon glass, Canon lens. So I put the collar on that one, and then I wind up using just the kit lens that I had from my 5i. 5i? Yeah, 5i, T5i. So what I'm noticing is that because the G7 is not recognizing, because it has nothing to hook up to. It has nothing, so you have to go into the settings, and you have to change it to, you know, shoot without a lens, basically. So it's a little bit hazy. Now, when I look at the flip out screen, it looks good, but it's further away from me, and I got glasses, so I can't say that. Like when I'm looking at this one, it's crystal clear. And I'm looking over there and it looks good, but then I have these controllers. I'm gonna show you these guys. Like here's my iPhone, right? My iPhone. I have my iPhone. This one here is controlling my G7, and this one here, my what the heck is this? The Galaxy, right? This is controlling the G5. So the GH5. So I'm looking at the GH5 screen, and it's crystal clear, but I'm looking at the one that's controlling the G7, and it looks a little hazy. So I guess I'll find out, you know, if that's the case on post. And if it is the case on post, then I probably won't use B-roll because, again, I'm not trying to have you guys look at no bullshit, really. You know, I just know that when I get off line and I get off shooting this show, I have to go on Amazon. I have to order me, just bite the bullet and just go ahead on and order me another 14 to 42 millimeter. Probably be an Olympic if I can find one, because the Panasonic one is like $900. The Olympic one, the Olympus, not Olympic, Olympus one is like $299. That's the cheapest I've been able to find on Amazon. So we'll see what the deal is. We'll see what happens as far as that concerned. So what we're going to get into, I love, if you know me and think about the last shows that I've did when we talking about thugs versus nerds and stuff, I'm a big nerd. Okay. I love comic books. I watch anime all day long. You know, my wife be like, dude, really? I just love everything about Marvel, DC, Image Comics, that type of stuff right there. Malibu, if you want to get to some of the smaller ones. But today we're going to talk about the difference between DC and Marvel Comics. We're not going to talk about Marvel Studios or Paramount and all of that when, talking about the DCEU or the MCU. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about just the comics and why I've always been a Marvel fan. Always. I've always been a Marvel fanboy. Always. I got probably about 3,000, 3,500 comic books to sit in my garage that every time I pull them out to try to get through them and update my list of how much things are worth, I see, oh man, shoot, let me read this. And then I wind up sitting down there reading comic books instead of doing what I need to do. So we're going to talk about DC because DC is the granddaddy, or DC is the first official comic book company. And now it's called DC Entertainment. But before, a lot of people didn't know that DC meant Detective Comics. Now it was established 83 years ago, 1934. And it was the parent company was National Allied Publications, right? The founder is Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, country of origin, obviously, United States. And I'm reading my notes and stuff if you want to know why I'm doing. It started out in Rockefeller Center in New York City, which basically a lot of media and publications started there. And then it just started branching out. But right now it's in Burbank, California. And some of the key people that you would know, I don't know if you would know Diane Nelson, who's the president now, Dan Didio, he's a co-publisher. Jim Lee is a co-publisher. Now, Jim, if you know anything about comic books, there's two people that that should pop to your mind. Jim Lee and Stan Lee, or Stan Lee and Jim Lee. Those is like the godfathers of comic books, if you will. So DC, again, stood for Detective Comics. I don't know if they actually dropped that moniker and it's now DC just exclusively. I don't know. I really don't know if that's what it is, but that's what it was before. DC Comics have what I and so many other people call the trinity of the comic book world. Both. I don't care if you go DC, Marvel, Image, Malibu, whatever you want to call, all of these subsidiaries. When you think of DC, and I would even venture to say when you think of, what would you call it? When you think of comic books, you think of three characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. That's the trinity. Everybody else, and remember, I said that I was a Marvel fan, but every other character comes in second place. There is no 1 and 1A, 1A, 1B. No. It's one, which is them three. Now, a lot of people sometimes put my favorite character of all time is Superman. I put Superman above everybody. Then it's Batman, then it's Wonder Woman. I've never really been a Wonder Woman fan. And before you get a lot of women bashing on me, talking about you just don't like women, I love a lot of female characters. I love Captain Marvel. I love the Black Widow. I love Catwoman. You know what I'm saying? These types of things out there. I love Harley Quinn, you know, Poison Ivy, and so on and so forth. I just never really been into Wonder Woman, even when, I mean, because think about it, I'm 49. So I was alive when the Wonder Woman series with Linda Carter came on television. You know, I used to watch it. I'm not gonna sit around there and watch it and live shoot. I used to watch The Flash when it came on. Who in my age group didn't watch The Hulk with Lou Ferrigno? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, when they was growing up. Give me a break, you know. But I was never really into Wonder Woman like that. But I respect the game. I respect the game. And when you talk about the Trinity, you have to put those three in. Then other characters came along after them: Green Lantern, The Flash, Aquaman, Hawkman, Hawkgirl. I don't understand why they always kept girl. You know, and we'll get into some of the reasons why I don't follow DC. Now, then and now, and maybe you might understand certain things I did. It's like they haven't evolved. You still calling Hawk girl. You still calling her a girl after 83 years. It should be Hawk woman, Hawk man, Hawk woman. Green Arrow, Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, Static, Zatanna, Shazam. You know what I'm saying? Those are like the biggest, you know, of the DC group. If you know about comics, you know about pretty much 90 to 99.9% of everyone that I just read. Maybe Zatanna, you know, maybe Static, because there was no Zatanna or Static that I knew of when I was growing up. But if you look at, you know, Static Shock, when you look at the old Justice League cartoons and stuff like that, you saw Zatanna, Static Shock, you saw Static, that type of stuff right there. So maybe people in my daughter's generation and people who are younger than that, they know who Static and Zatanna. They might put Static and Zatanna over Hawkman and Hawkgirl. You know what I'm saying? They might put them. I don't think they're going to put them on, above Green Lantern, Flash, Green Arrow, Martian Manhunter, Cyborg. I don't think they're going to, even Shazam. But anyway, I digress. Another thing that you might know about or should know about DC is they're bad guys. Anybody who knows me or have watched this channel for a while, when we was talking, we went on Nerdville, and we didn't go through Nerdville too often. But when you would think about it and listen to my words, I had a trinity of three ultimate bad guys. Ultimate bad guy across all genres, across all genres. I know you have some people in a horror genre to say Jason or Mike Myers or you know, Jason Voorhees or Mike Myers or Chucky or whatever it might be, Psycho. You know, they might say, but first of all, I was never really into horror flicks anyway, so that really didn't come in my view or my thought process. But my trinity of bad guys across multiple, let's just say that, multiple platforms instead of across all platforms. Darth Vader, and two of them, the other two, were DC villains. So I had Darth Vader, I had the Joker, and I had Lex Luthor. The Joker and Lex Luthor are number 1 and 2, or 2 and 1, or 1 and 2, whatever you want to do it. And any bad guy, when you talk about any bad guy, I don't know of a bad guy in Marvel, in the Marvel universe, that could be on that top level. Again, remember what I said? I said Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman were 1. Everybody else was 2 and below. If you take out Darth Vader, Joker and Lex Luthor are 1. And then everybody else comes 2 down. So other than the Joker and Lex Luthor, you had Darkseid, Catwoman, Ra's al Ghul, Deathstroke, the Reverse Flash, Sinestro, Black Adam, and Brainiac. So you have so many. I feel, their cupboard is far from bare. DC has it all, but they just don't do it right. They just really don't do it right. I started out reading comics from DC. What I did not like about DC was DC seemed to me to be written for, especially back in the day, written for kids. And yes, I was a kid, but when you're in your fantasy, you want to be in a situation, you want to imagine that you're an adult. You know what I'm saying? So some of the good guys, Plastic Man, Eraserhead, Sharkhead, all of this type of craziness, Trampoline Man, you'd be like, really? It just got to be too cheesy to me, and then again, the Hawk Girl, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you had Donna Troy, Wonder Girl, and stuff like that. It was almost like women were like inferior, and it was always girl, like you never evolved. I mean, how do you have, Hawk Man and then Hawk Girl, and they supposed to be a couple, but one is called a girl and one's called a man? And and you might say, well, Rich, you was like 14, 15, 13. How did you know? I don't know, but it just threw me off. Then Marvel came along. Now, Marvel Comics came along. What was it like? What was it? Let me see. 5 years later, right? 5 years later, 1939, that's 78 years ago. It was not called Marvel, it was called Timely Comics. And again, it started in New York, and it's still in New York. They're still looking at my notes. They're still on 50th Street in New York City, 135 West 50th Street. Some of the key people, Alexi, Alonzo, Dan Buckley, they're all publishers and COOs, CEOs. And then Stanley, like I said, Jim Lee, Stanley, Godfathers, they probably together have probably written, probably somewhere they had their hands in so much that, let me see, 95% of the monsters and heroes and villains now, they've had an intricate part in some toenail, some fingerprint in it. So they're just awesome. But again, it started out a Timely publication, and then by the early 1950s, it became Atlas Comics, and then in 1961, they became Marvel. Now, Stanley, Jack Kirby is another one. Steve Ditko. These, along many others. Rob Liefeld. Just more and on and on and on and on and on and on. Todd McFarlane. All of them come through the Marvel tree. I asked myself who the Trinity is in Marvel Comics. And I would say, now, I took a poll, as far as my research was concerned and stuff like that. And I noticed that the majority of people said the Trinity was Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk, right? That was a Trinity. I believe that's a Trinity now, but I don't ever remember. And I had to look up my old comics. Iron Man wasn't all of that. I mean, he was great. Don't get me wrong. He was great. And he was the financer of the team. He was the one that built it started out as Avenger Mansion, which was his mansion. And he wound up, when he left the group dealing with his alcohol problems, he turned it over to the Avengers. He was always their financer, but he wasn't like a team leader like they try to portray him now. So to me, if I'm talking about the Trinity from 78 years ago to today, I would say I would take Iron Man out of that Trinity and I will put Spider-Man in. So I would say Captain America, Spider-Man, and the Hulk. I think everybody knows. Now, I believe everybody knows Iron Man, but you have to go through the whole time. So I will put that trend. Now, that trinity of Captain America, the Hulk, and Spider-Man cannot match the trinity from DC. Let's just say that. Just can't do it, right? But other than that, you have Thor, who is my favorite Marvel character. From way back. You know, I mean, to me, he was the closest thing I saw as far as strength, as far as courage, as far as looks, as far as being a warrior to Superman. So when I moved permanently from DC to Marvel, I had to pick up some people. You know, I had to pick up some people to follow. So Thor, the Asgardian, that was just great. Then when they would move, what happened? Okay, no, I just had to make sure because, see, that's what it was. Okay, it was actually that one right there. So I got to remember that. That's another thing. This goes back to a little tech talk. The Luminex GH5 goes continuous recording. What that means is, as long as I have power and I have space on the graphics, the card, it'll go forever. The G7, it only gives you 20 minutes. So when it came out, that's how that was. So, we'll learn. We'll learn how that is. I'm actually in the process of saving up to get a GH4 because I don't want to get two GH5s. First of all, I mean, shit, GH5 is like $2,000. I can get a really good GH4 for like $900. So I'm probably going to get one of those. Allegedly, that has the continuous also. So if that has, then I'll replace the G7. The G7, I'm never going to sell it because it's an excellent camera. I'll probably use that more of a road camera if I want to do 4K. But I'll put the GH5, a GH4 for B-roll, and I'll keep the GH5 for what you call it. But anyway, I digress. Get back. You got Thor, what I said, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, which I said was which I said was part of the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. Deadpool, Wolverine, Daredevil, Miss Marvel, Ant-Man, right? What I loved, and still love about Marvel is their teams. I understand the Justice League. Don't get me wrong. The Justice League is right there. Then you have Young Justice. You have the Teen Titans. They are excellent. They cannot deal, in my estimation, cannot deal with the Avengers, the Defenders, the Invaders, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Inhumans, Fantastic Four, and probably one of, if not the most well-known, I would say the second most well-known is the X-Men. So if you take the top two of DC teams, which would probably be Young Justice or Teen Titans, whichever you want, and the Justice League, and put them up against the Avengers and X-Men, DC would lose all day long, even though they have the holy trinity of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. No, they still wouldn't have been able to do it. Now, this is where Marvel, I feel, takes a backseat to DC. And we'll talk about the bad guys, the antagonists. Dr. Doom, I know some people is going to put down in the comments below, hey, man, when you had your 3, you should have put Dr. Doom. No. Dr. Doom was he was boring. He was boorish. I mean, Lex Luthor, he was rich. He had his hands in all the tills, and he was just awesome. He just could not be touched. That was great. Joker was just a nut. He was just a nut. He just played nutty. Dr. Doom, to me, people could say he was rich. Yes, he was rich. He was a monarch. He had his own country. He was crazy, but he just couldn't deal with them. Couldn't. So if you want to say, let's just say you want to say, okay, let me have a holy trinity of comic book characters and they're all antagonists, then I would agree with you. Then I would say, okay, it's still a Joker and Lex Luthor. And then you could put Doom, Dr. Doom in there. Red Skull, period piece. Green Goblin, anybody who knows about Spider-Man knows about the Green Goblin. Thanos, Ultron, Dr. Octopus, Magneto, which is another big bad. Venom and Loki, which is great. And I think that, the three Thor, well, I'm not even going to say that because remember I said I wasn't going to get into the films. Most of, how would I put this? We could compare the two. Most of DC's stuff happened in really two major cities, Gotham and Metropolis, right? You had Bloodhaven, which came out later on, other, what's that, Century City with the Flash. Then you have where Green Lantern, I can't remember. I'm sorry, I can't remember all that. Then you got Star City with Green Arrow and all that type of stuff. But basically it was just really two cities. Marvel, on the other hand, most of everything happened in one city, which was New York City. It wasn't until later on when they decided to launch the West Coast Avengers, when Hawkeye and Mockingbird, under the tutelage or the chairmanship of Vision, was sent out to LA. And then now you started having transcontinental and stuff like that. But if you look at New York City, as far as Marvel, you had the Avenger Mansion, you had the Freedom Tower, which was Fantastic Four's headquarters. You had upstate New York, where the X-Men were. You had Hell's Kitchen, which was all the Defenders was in, and on and on and on. Everybody pretty much, when you had X Factor, they was in Lower Manhattan. Everything was pretty much in New York because, the Marvel Studios Marvel Comics was in New York. So it was always, to me, it always felt like a more realistic, who know, even though you look at Metropolis, you say, okay, Metropolis is New York. Well, who is Gotham? But then when you look at Gotham, it was almost like Gotham and Metropolis were the same city, just different parts of it. Like during the daytime, it was Metropolis. During the nighttime, it was Gotham City, if that made any sense, right? So I moved to Marvel because of the stories, because of the sexual. I'm just going to be honest. The sexuality, all of the women were drawn voluptuous, and my little perverted. We all perverts when we small, and you never really saw boobies before and stuff. Not that they was going to show naked boobies, but granted, Wonder Woman had like a corset, but it just, to me, it was never really sexual, But you look at the Black Widow when she was in her black form fitting, even though you didn't see any cleavage, you saw a lot of booty and you saw some bumps in the front, So to me, I've always felt that Marvel was more real to me. I can't get into and won't get into some of the storylines other than the fact that the New 52, to me, I loved it, and I wish that they would not have caved to the set of purists, if you will, because I've never been a fan of the Superman Lois Lane romance. Never. I've never been a fan of when they tried to push the Batman and Wonder Woman, Batman Diana. I never understood it. If you look how things went, how things were portrayed, Superman was always considered a god, and then Wonder Woman came almost as equal as a goddess, if you will, right? They're both damn near immortal, right? So why wouldn't they get together? Why would Superman get and stay with Lois? Now, you know, Lois was hot and all that. I can understand that. But you have to have the person, the how would you put it? You have to have, in my opinion, you have to have things look right. So when they went to the New 52 in DC, I loved it. I really did. They changed the backgrounds of a whole lot of people. You sort of understood where things was going, and I thought it was cool. When they moved to the New 52, they promoted Cyborg, who was always been, he was an original member of the Titans. They moved him up to the Justice League, which some people didn't like it, but I think they did that because they wanted to change. They wanted to get rid of John Stewart, who a lot of people grew up as the only Green Lantern. Moved him, John Stewart is African-American, moved him out, brought Hal Jordan back, and they was like, okay, well, we're going to take one African-American from the big team. We need to put one back. So if you think about it, they took John Stewart, put Cyborg in there, and moved him from the Teen Titans, which I was fine with either one. To me, I can go either way. I can go either way. Hal Jordan, John Stewart, both of them were great. I even like Kyle Rayner. I did not like Gal Gardner. I didn't particularly like him, but when they put them all together with the Green Lantern Corps, I like that also. But when you go to Marvel, look at Spider-Man. At one time, they had three Spider-Man titles going on at one time. It was the Amazing Spider-Man, it was Spectacular Spider-Man, then it was something other, you know, which is great. Miniseries like Secret Wars. To me, Secret Wars is above and beyond the best. I know they're going, again, I mentioned this and I shouldn't, and I said I wasn't. They're doing the Infinity Wars and stuff like that on the screen, but to me, the best storyline in comics, to me, was Secret Wars. But I don't know what was going on with DC. Now, I did like, and I do have the graphic novels when it was the Justice League versus the Avengers. I want to say it was either 4 or 6. I have them all. And I enjoyed that because then you got to see Superman against Hulk. You know, things that you would always want to know. Who could win? Who would win? That type of stuff right there. I like that cross, that cross meshing. I don't think it'll ever happen now because Warner Brothers owns DC, Disney owns Marvel, and now, you know, now they clashing, so you'll never see that. I'm not gonna say never because you never know never. You never can say never. A lot of people said that, you know, Fox, was it Fox? Is it Fox? Yeah, Fox wouldn't give this character over. You know what I'm saying? So you could never say never, but I can't see it happen, you know? So that's why I switched from DC to Marvel. Again, I enjoy the Trinity of DC, and I've already said, you know, 2 of my top 3 bad guys are from DC, and I will continue to watch DC. I don't particularly like the direction the DCEU is compared to the MCU. So what we'll do is, I know people I'm looking around, people are already asking. So what I will do is I will do a video of the DCEU versus the MCU and why hands down is the MCU. So that's going to be the end of this show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's something totally different, but I figured it's Friday, it's Memorial Day weekend. Let's do some nerd stuff going on. Let's have a good time and chop it up like only we can do here. So like, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right here. I don't know if you can see. It'll be right here on the if I'm pointing in, it'll be right here, everything there. So hit that. If you really want to get down, hit the bell button that's right next to the subscriber count, and that will let you know when we bring everything, when we launch new shows and stuff. Tomorrow, I'm hoping, is Memorial Day weekend. Like I said, I'm not promising anything, but I'm hoping that Big Rich Live on the Mic Saturday edition will be there. We're actually going to see, or actually when you see this, I should already be at the movies, and we're going to see Baywatch with The Rock, and that will be my movie review for Monday's show. And I don't know if I'm going to do a special show for the DCEU versus the MCU. Probably because I think the Hump Day show for the Big Rich Live on the Mike show, I want to sort of get back to current events. There's a lot of skullduggery and bullshit happening that we need to get down, and I have an obligation to do that. So remember our website, www.shadowmediagroup.com. Our email address is what's the real deal. What's the real deal 17 at gmail.com. That's what it is. What's the real deal? Yeah, what's the real deal at gmail.com. So check that out. Let us know. Twitter, remember, it's capital B, capital R, live on the mic. And one little announcement. I want to make a shameless plug here. Me and my partner, we just launched a new photography and video production company. It's called Behind the Lens Production. And I want you guys to check it out and let us, help us out. We have a Facebook page, which is BT Lens Productions. So that's BT Lens Productions. We're going to have a website, which will be BT Lens at Productions or at Pro. I don't know. I haven't done that yet. We got an Instagram, which is BT Lens Pro, and that's the same thing with our Twitter account. So check us out. Check us out. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of music videos and action photography, as well as weddings and other photos and business photos and stuff like that. But we really going to get down using the Mavic Pro, using other drones that we're going to be purchasing, and using gimbals and sliders and all of that type of stuff. So if you need anything, let us know. Join the conversation. I'm out now. So in the meantime, in between time, stay blessed, stay safe, stay woke. Peace. And I'm out of here.